Okay, well, welcome everyone, and thanks for joining. It is hard to believe this is it. Between you and celebration of the end of the week, and I want to thank you for being with us throughout the week. For those who are able to join us, and those who are watching a rewind or a repeat, this was during Global Entrepreneurship Week we hosted here in Michigan, and we've had lots of cool activities throughout the week. And this is maybe the last session for the day before we do closing remarks. So let's get started. So this is all about growing your business utilizing one of our tools called the growth wheel. I'm not sure how many of you guys are familiar with it, but it's a wheel that we utilize here to allow you to understand what would it take to grow the business utilizing, I'm going to call them 4 sections of your business, okay? And what I'm doing here today is really just focus on the growth of your business, understanding your revenue model. Now, there are lots of other ways that you could do this for growing your business. I'm just focusing today on the revenue model for growing the business. I'm going to skip the introduction about me because many of you have attended some of the other workshops. So I'll just say there are lots of other tools that we use to grow the business. One of them is called the Resilient Entrepreneur Program or the Canvas. That's also another way for you to think about growing your business. Today, and in this section, I'm discussing specifically the growth wheel. And we will usually start when we work with organizations or individuals in their growth wheel. We just start with what we call the framework of the 360 perspective on the business. And basically, this is a checklist of 20 areas that the business can choose to focus their creation or their growth on. When a business is growing, there could be lots of things that you could focus on, and these 20 focus areas can allow you to have better decision to be made to allow you where you could focus your energy to grow the business rapidly. Okay. Now, the growth wheel helps you decide which area would make better sense for you based on the questions that we're going to ask you to move your business forward. You will notice throughout the discussion today that you could actually grow your business in multiple ways. And as I said, even within our quads of customer relations, operations, organizations and business concept, there are lots of things that we could discuss. I'm focusing today on one of them, and actually one section of one of the quads, and that is the revenue model and how you can grow that. So let's keep going. The discussion today will be really focused on how to move your business forward with the revenue model, understanding how you could keep your business growing, utilizing the revenue channels that you may have. Okay. Of course, you could at any point ask questions, and if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube or anything else, you could please leave a comment in the chat or in the comment section, please, so we could maybe follow up with you on it, or you could always call us or email us or send us a note. Okay. So we're focusing on the business concept side of it, and we're specifically focused on the revenue model. As you can see from this chart, depending on your business, you could really think about the different or various ways that you could think about your revenue model, okay? There are lots of ways to look at it. There are about 26 revenue models that we have identified. Now, the truth is there's more. It's just we want to start the conversation with these and then see what they could unfold, right? And the models range from financials to online models to service revenue models to trade revenue models to manufacturing revenue models. And there are lots of things or key points throughout this framework that allows you to rethink how you do business today. And what we want to think about is which one of these income sources do you see that you want to use today? Which one are you using today? Which one do you want to use in the future? These things, just by even looking at them in a higher level like this once, will allow you to better understand which areas to focus on. And sometimes just by looking at them, what we've seen with others is that might spark a different idea in someone's mind as they review what are the different options that are listed here. Also, it might allow you to think about, can I improve my business concept by using revenue models that maybe are not traditionally used in my industry, it might allow you to think that. This is why we're exposing you to all of them, because we believe sometimes when you see something that someone else is doing, even if it's a different industry, it could spark a different idea for you. And you might ask yourself, can I incorporate one of these new revenue models into my pricing list or pricing structure? Can my business handle that? All right. So that's one of the things I want you to think about today, right? So when you take a look at these, 5 different areas of ways of you doing business, whether it's manufacturing, financial models, online models, service models, trade models, you want to start thinking, can you borrow, can you refresh, can you rethink how you are doing business today? Can maybe another industry like a manufacturer help you do some different ways to create some revenue for you if you are an online revenue model or if you've been generating revenue from online sales? So this is the concept here. And of course, what you want to do normally, we would want to spend a little bit of time digging through each one of them with each one of your businesses and how you're generating revenue with that business. And then what we want to do once we identify these revenues that you may have or you want to go after or you think are a good fit for you to explore, we gonna do what I like to call is the model mix, the revenue model mix of your business. And this is where we could say what's useful and what we want to explore and what we don't want to explore. Because once you start thinking, all right, let's talk about manufacturing. Can I approach my revenue model from manufacturing perspective? Can I be the manufacturer? Well, what does a manufacturer look like? Well, manufacturers in the past, they used to make products, right? Or they still do. And then they wholesale it to retailers that didn't retail it. That's one of the models, right? So you want to think about, can I approach my business as a manufacturing business? Should I be thinking about licensing or authorizing individuals or companies to resell my product or services, right? Then, of course, you've heard about contract manufacturing, meaning what? I may have the design, but someone else is doing all of the work. As an example, there are lots of meanings for the contract manufacturing. Licensing manufacturers, meaning I have invented a way to make something, but I don't want to make it. I'm just going to get someone else to do it, and I'm just going to get a fee for me providing them the license to use my technology, right? There are all kinds of things that you could think about within that, and then you start thinking, is this useful? Can I use it? How can I use it for me? How can I possibly do that? What would it mean? For example, I'm in the training business. We do consulting and training. We usually consult with companies in launching entrepreneurship activities in their communities. So a university, economic development agency, a city, economic development corporation might come and say, we want to do entrepreneurship programs. We want to do small business development. We want to support investments. We want to support mentorship. What can you do? We go in and design and do all this stuff. So the question, if I want to think about these manufacturers, could be, all right, I want to maybe start be the source of this information and then maybe allow individuals to come in or corporations to come in and say, listen, you could represent this in your own community, and whatever sales you do in your community, we will come and deploy it. You get a small cut, right? Or you get a cut from it, or you actually may be deployed because maybe you're a trainer, or maybe you're a mentor, or maybe something else, right? Or maybe you could manage the project. So there are all kinds of things that we could look at, kind of like a manufacturing rep, right? You could look at from this model alone that makes you start thinking, what can I do for my model? Or maybe I want to do what some of these other tools are doing. For instance, Kaufman Fast Track, we're one of their associates, and basically we're licensed to use their technology anywhere we do business, right? So we could think about, all right, I do all this other concepts for corporations, mainly economic development agencies, universities, cities and things of that nature, or nonprofits that are trying to do good things in their community. And they might say, hey, I will license our technology for you to deploy a program in your community. That's one way to start looking at some of these trade revenue models, right? And you can do this with every one of them. Clearly, we could spend days on these, right? And we normally do stretch this in 3 months program. I'm working with you today to give you the nuggets of what you should be thinking about, so therefore you can do it on your own. Of course, we would love to have a conversation with you to how we could explore it together. But for now, feel free to use these tools as we're sharing them here with you for you to better assess how you could do that. Then we start looking at is the value that we're creating based on this model that we created. So now we looked at the different ways that we could make money, and we recognize, well, we could actually add value if we did that, because maybe we could have some more locals in the community doing the work than we are delivering the work. And as a matter of fact, that is one of our model that we usually go in and try to recruit one or two or three individuals locally within that community that could work with us on a local level with the entrepreneurs there as well. And then we kind of like support them and the entrepreneurs in the same time. And sometimes we do it in phases, so training the trainers and then training the actual entrepreneurs. So therefore, there's a program right away, just at least deployed. Sometimes we do it in just phases. We run the program for a year or two, and then we recruit a couple of individuals that could support us there, and then a year or two after that they run it and we just support them. Then we just slowly transition to let them run it, and we become more of a support system for them, right? So that's one of the things that we could think about. But once we do that, then now we could go back and say, what's the value propositions that we're doing in this business to business? Can we create a higher value for the opportunity that we're doing here? So now you can start thinking about what? Upselling. Can I upsell? Meaning, for instance, they were interested in deploying a program into their community. We can do that. I can deploy the team and they can do it. Well, but they could also do train the trainer. So that's another program that we could done. Or we actually a lot of times, unfortunately, in our space, is we're not a good example maybe for this. We might downsell because they'll come to me and say, Ferris, can you deploy fast track? And I'd love to do a fast track. Or can you deploy this program? I'd love to do that program. And then after we learn what they're trying to do, we might say, well, you might want to deploy this other program because it's shorter or it's longer or whatever. It makes better sense based on what you're telling us. Even though sometimes it is not more money for us, it's actually sometimes a lot less money for us when we go back and tell them that. But I believe that we got to always do just the right thing, right? It's not about the money. So you could upsell if it makes sense. I also people only if it makes sense. And you could also help them save money. This is like what I was saying to you earlier. We've learned sometimes that they're wanting to engage with certain types of entrepreneurs, and they want this big program. And we might come back and say, you don't need this big program. You need a smaller program. And yes, it costs less, but it's more important, it's more relevant to them, and it's going to make a better impact. And then maybe a year from now, we can come back and do this other program. You also want to think about with your proposition, how you're creating value. Is there a different way to do the experience? And I mentioned to you, like in our example, you could think about, locals, because now they could understand what's going on, and they could use language that maybe an outsider might not know, or use references that you wouldn't recognize or be aware of. And that could be adding value to the businesses that you're working with to generate more revenue or to keep you doing business with you. So remember, first we look at all the different revenue streams. Then we discuss, can we take one of them that we can learn from or adapt or maybe borrow something from or even deploy. And now we can start thinking about, can we add value to what we're doing with that? In addition to the new stream, can we add value to it? Excuse me. And then, of course, we start thinking about the qualities, right? So now we want to know, now that we added value, we want to think about the customers might appreciate having a new rep. The customers might appreciate being licensed, right? I'm not sure which one you want to pick. And I'm using this just as an example to help you grasp some of these concepts that we're discussing today. And I'm using us as an example, but we could use any of you as an example. And you're welcome, by the way. For those who are with us in the chat or in the comments, feel free to write us and tell me, hey, I do this, what can I do? Happy to answer that as well. All right. So either in the comments, in the Facebook Live, or in the YouTube channel, wherever you're watching this, please feel free to comment, and we're happy to get back to you on that. So now we want to say, okay, what are the qualities that we're offering today? And then what are the qualities that we could maybe rethink about? Now, there are lots of things to think about that when we talk about qualities. We're using here just a couple of them: the physical, the mental qualities, and then the emotional and the spiritual dimension that it might be adding when someone buys your product or service. And we've given you some helpful hints in the top, as you can see with a checklist, which is, as an example, with the physical, Features, we're talking about, is it reliable? Is the price the right price for it? Is it compatible? How is the technology works with it or not? So you want to think through some of those ideas as you are, excuse me, as you're thinking about your product and the quality of your product. And then what we do is we take that product, right? And now we said, all right, we're going to do this product, and here's what's cool about it. We're going to list all the features in the product. We want to list all the benefits. You might be thinking, first, what's the feature? What's the benefit? Well, we'll start with that, and then that'll give us the value, right? So the value is usually also, value has all kinds of stuff in it. You get to it by understanding the whole big picture. So let's start with a feature versus a benefit. You might know the difference, by the way. You might already know it in your head. You just never thought about it. I like to use the example of a bottled shampoo. Bottled shampoo might say, feature of the bottled shampoo is it has apple abstract. You might be thinking, that's a nice feature. It describes to you what's in it. But what's the benefit? Well, it adds more shine to your hair. Well, that's the benefit. If I use that shampoo, it'll add more shine. I use another example, a chair. This chair that I'm sitting on. A feature of it is it has wheels. Well, that's nice. What do I care if it has wheels or not? Well, the benefit is you can move around in and out your desk a little bit easier, right? So that's what you want to do. You write all the features, and then you want to write all the benefits for your product or service. And then you want to think about, can this, what I'm looking at here, does this add any value to the customer, right? Does it add value? Does it make an impact? Does it allow them to do something more? Does it save them time? Does it save them money, right? Does it solve a problem for them? So these are some of the ideas. Does it strengthen their brand when they get that? Does it make them look stronger? Whatever you think, you want to think about what's the value that's creating from this benefit that has this feature. So our example of, hair or chair, either one, the chair, the feature, it has wheels. The benefit, it allows you to move in and out your desk. The value that it could create is, save some time from having to, move in and out your desk because it's just a little bit faster, or save some energy because you don't have to lift your chair every time you leave, and spend your energy on that. You can spend your energy doing something else. So this is what I mean by that. You want to think through all these different things, because with that, you might discover that this product or service can be sold to a new customer that you never thought about. And now we go back and start thinking, can we reevaluate the price, right? What are the categories? What are the product or service that I'm going to have? What are the current prices today? With the future and the benefits that I just mentioned, can the future price be something different, right? Today I'm selling it for $50. Can I sell it for 75? Is that reasonable? Is that too much? Should I go for 55? Should I go for 51? How can I explain the increase to my customer? We all now facing some of these challenges, right? You go to buy a car today, it's much more expensive. You go to buy a rent a house, it's much more expensive. You want to build a house, it's much more expensive. You want to buy a computer, it's much more expensive. Well, there's a shortage in supplies. Okay. So now you understand, they're explaining to you why is the price is different. So the same thing with you. Why would I want to pay you more? I've heard some good answers before. Hey, if you want me to be around till next year, you got to pay me this price so I could make sure I pay my people correctly, so I could stick around, so I could pay my bills. If I don't pay my power, I won't be here next year. So helping the customer understand why you're doing it can be just because, well, you can. It's just, I'm not sure if people like that. Will allow them then to buy into the reasons why there's an increase or decrease in some manners. All right. And then we want to think about, as you can tell, these things easily could take days or months to go through it. And we usually like to structure it. Most of our coaching programs are 3 months, and we meet every other week. And then in between the weeks, the entrepreneur is working with some of these sheets that we were discussing or work that they were discussing. While they connect with the mentors and the coach, that's okay. It just gives them a little bit of time to think through it, because it does take time, and it does, that in any minute when we meet with them, it does, we could go through each one of these concepts and really unfold them for their specific business. Once you do that with all of these different sheets that I just mentioned, and this is again one of the business concept ideas on how to increase your revenue. We could pick all of the other four, concepts of the business and really do the same. Okay. Now we could create what I'm going to call the 30, 60, 90-day plan, because what you want to do is say, all right, I'm going to focus on generating a new revenue model by looking at the manufacturing way of doing things. And I'm going to go ahead and make these decisions that, one, visit a manufacturer, two, do this, three, increase the price. And then, I'm going to do this piece. Jason is going to do this other piece. Mike is going to do this other piece. Susan is going to do that. And then you could start now creating a schedule plan to make these things really work, because you don't want to just discuss it with us and move on. You want to write it down and hold people accountable for it, and then move on to it. And when a decision is being made, what's the action that is needed to happen to make that work, right? So you want to think through those things as well. And by the way, for anyone that's watching this, if you email me or drop us a note, we're happy to provide you with some of these worksheets. Although we'd love to work with you, I'm happy to provide a couple of them for you at no cost to you, okay? So that's the focus area. We kind of discussed it just already. And then that's pretty much it. Clearly, we could do this for the next few hours. What I want to do is stop right here and allow you to think through what we just covered, and allow you to think about the different concept that we mentioned. Remember, start with your revenues, understanding where your revenues are coming from today. Be then exposing yourself to other revenue models, even from other industries. And don't, please, a lot of times it's easy for us to just disregard and like, well, that's not my business. Stop. Think through it. How can that be applied to your business, right? What can you learn from it for your business? It doesn't mean that you should copy it, but can you learn from it to think about a business model for you? Now, the truth is, once you go through the exercise, you might think, no, I never want to do that. And that's fine. It's just going through the exercise will allow you to really think through your business and the different revenue models that your business can have. Then you want to think about, can you take that one model and stretch it? Can you add value to it? And then you want to think about this new product or service, or the existing product or service. What are the future of it? What are the benefits of it? Is there value when we offer it? Can this value be offered to another revenue stream that could potentially allow us to do this? And that's really what you want to do with the different revenues that you have today, or if you have only one, to rethink that by exposing yourself to all these ideas that we just discussed today. I hope that this gives you some insights on how you could re-examine your thoughts about your revenue and how you could, grow your business utilizing our growth wheel tool to understand your revenue streams and expanding them. Thank you for being with us today.